Hi everybody, it's Rich. I'm coming to you early in the morning, very early. It's like 12:30 or something like that on March 27th, 2010 for tonight's episode of Cheap Red Wine. This is the little video show where I have a few sips of cheap red wine and tell a story or something along those lines. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about healthcare. Not really. However, what I'm going to talk about is related to healthcare in a way. I saw an exchange that two of my cousins had on Facebook recently about the reaction of people to healthcare, to the bill that was passed earlier this week. And the concern was that friendships are being torn asunder in a way by the healthcare debate. People are having a hard time talking to each other. People who have been friends for a long time are upset with each other. And my cousins were lamenting this really. And I think they have a really good point. And it's a shame when politics get in the way of friendship, of family, just in general. I think when politics get in the way, it's not really a good thing. Of course, we're always going to have disagreements, but I think a little bit more civility is probably something that we all should strive for. And I think we have a great historical precedent for that from two of our presidents. I'm talking, of course, about John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. Now, despite what some people these days seem to think, we can learn a lot from Thomas Jefferson and John Adams these days. The founding fathers have a lot to teach us. And one, maybe some people would think this is a minor point, but one lesson we can learn from them is a lesson of friendship. Jefferson and Adams had begun a correspondence after they first met, which is contained in this book, the Adams-Jefferson Letters. There is Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Abigail Adams. She was involved in the correspondence as well. And they began their correspondence in the 1770s, and it continued until a few months before both of them died, Jefferson and Adams, on July 4th, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. John Adams' last words were famously, "Thomas Jefferson still lives. Independence forever," I think is what he said, although Jefferson had died a few hours before. Anyway, Jefferson and Adams had a correspondence that lasted from not long after they met until the beginning of Adams's presidency in 1796, and politics began to get in the way, and the correspondence was severed. And throughout Adams's administration and Jefferson's administrations, they didn't really speak to each other very much, and the correspondence dried up. It ended. And at a certain point, Thomas Jefferson and Abigail Adams had a correspondence wherein they tried to make amends, tried to figure out who was to blame for this, who was to blame for that. It was not a completely satisfying set of letters for either one of them. Eventually, though, Jefferson and Adams began writing to each other again in 1812, I believe. And when that happened, they continued writing, as I said, until the end of their lives. And if they had not done that, this book would only be this thick. Because they started writing together to each other again, the book is this thick. And it's popularly among people who have read the letters, and I'm going to admit it, I haven't read all the letters. I bought this book at Monticello, but I've never read the whole thing. I've paged through it, read separate letters now and then. Anyway, people who have studied the letters agree that the richer, far more varied correspondence in terms of subject matter happened after Jefferson and Adams healed the rift that had occurred, largely because of politics, and got on with the business of being friends. And they didn't resolve all the disagreements that they had. Nobody needs to we don't need to resolve all of our disagreements. That's the thing here. I don't think. The thing is that ultimately we're all in this together. And if we sacrifice the relationships that we have with people that we love and care about because of something that we might wind up on opposite sides of the issue over, then everybody suffers. So tonight, I would like to toast friendship, even in its most unlikely forms. And I think that's it for tonight. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your support.